It's time for the State of Pro Wrestling, scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. And now, from parts unknown, your tag team champions of the world, John Orlando for the PVD Cast and Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos. Ding, ding, ding! And we're back with another episode of the State of Pro Wrestling. For everyone out there, on behalf of the PVD Cast and, of course, the Pop Culture Cosmos, it's Gerald Glassford stepping into the ring with my good friend, indeed. We are the undisputed tag team champions of the world when it comes to wrestling podcasting. Sorry, everyone else out there. You are just jobbers to us.
That's right.
But here today to go ahead along with me is my good friend and my tag team partner. He is the host behind the PVD Cast and also as well, Matt Talk. Not a wrestling show.
No.
Not Matlock. There you go. I always have to preface it that because we do a pro wrestling show and then you have a show called Mat Talk, but it's not about being on the mat for wrestling. So
no, it is not.
There you go. This is my good friend, Mr. John Orlando. John, great to have you here. And miraculously, we're on the PVD Cast on Facebook. I'm so happy, man. Yay!
We have had some difficulties. I say we because off air, folks, we were talking about, it seems like the last 2 or 3 weeks that Facebook is acting very, very weird for live streams and for other video related or audio related content. It's being weird. I don't know what gremlins are in the internet that are messing around with Facebook, but I hope they stop real soon.
I hope they stop real soon, indeed, because again, with all I do for the Pop Culture Cosmos and Lakers Fast Break and what you do with Matt Talk and the PVD Cast, Facebook, even though we talk to the youngins out there, Gen Z and all that. You guys got Facebook? Oh, that's so old, man. That's for old people. But that's all I get when I hear that. But Facebook is still a great audience for us, so we truly appreciate you checking us out there. Audio podcasts, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you catch us right here at the State of Pro Wrestling. My friend, I wanted to come on early because I also wanted to ask you first question about WrestleMania. Do you want to do a pre-WrestleMania show on the week of WrestleMania or a post-WrestleMania show?
Ooh. I say let's go for a post-WrestleMania show.
Okay, we'll get the Fallout. WrestleMania Fallout show indeed for us. I know you'll be doing some stuff in advance of that with your good friends as well. In regards to pre-WrestleMania stuff, and maybe I'll tinker with that too on the Pop Culture Cosmos. But we together will be back just after to go ahead and see through the fallout of WrestleMania upcoming here in Vegas. I still haven't found a comp yet, knowing that WWE is very stingy with those. I don't expect to get one. I ain't gonna pay $800 for it, but the prices drop under $2. We'll see, but I know that press pass.
2 is the hard cutoff. Then,
yeah, 200 is the hard cutoff. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. But if they want to fill it up, I have a feeling they might have to go that route. But we'll see. But Tickets Advance are selling. It's selling good. It is becoming a stack card. We'll go ahead and get you the update as of our showtime on what that is here in a minute. But John, I usually throw out, and you and I usually throw back at each other our list of what we're going to talk about, what we're going to decide to go ahead and go over in the State of Pro Wrestling. But, I decided to not do that today because, I don't know, there's really not much going. Oh, yeah, one of the biggest turns in pro wrestling history took place not too long ago. That's what I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about as we get set for WrestleMania. Plus, also as well, I do want to touch on AEW as well. And then, of course, also as well, highlight to everybody out there the importance of WrestleMania week to the entire industry. And we'll talk about that coming up on the show as well. But first, it is the guy who lost his smile. I love how the fact in pro wrestling, John, that you can go ahead. I'm a good guy because I can smile a lot or whatnot. Yeah. Unless you're Chris Jericho and all that stuff, doing his fake good guy stuff. Ah, la, 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 la. And then all of a sudden, I turn my face into a frown, and all of a sudden, I'm a heel. And that's all it took, essentially, for one of the biggest news events in pro wrestling inside the ring in quite some time, as John Cena turned on the WWE audience. He turned on Cody Rhodes, and and of course, The Rock, now aligned together. Your thoughts on how this went down, how this came about? If you believe the backstage rhetoric and what was been reported on, you'll hear that that Cody Rhodes was offered this first to turn bad and decided to turn against it. Let me hear your thoughts on that. But one of the biggest angles in quite some time. Your thoughts on the John Cena turn as they head to WrestleMania?
Well, first, it was very shocking. Let's just be honest, and I'll be quite forthright. I didn't watch the PLE because I felt like there was nothing there that really I was interested in watching. So I was in that mindset where, okay, I'll read up about it. I'll watch the highlights on YouTube or whatnot. This situation made me regret doing that. So that should tell you how good it was, Gerald, that I regretted, like, man, I should have watched it live. Why just to take everything in? And yeah, so I kicked myself for not watching it. Yeah, look, it's what many fans have wanted for many, many years. You've always been told from the WWE that he's the most polarizing person in professional wrestling, because some of the fans would chant that John Cena sucks, and then other folks would cheer their heads off when he was battling bad guys in the ring. So I liken this like to the NWO turn for Hulk Hogan. Like, it's a major deal. It's a big time deal. And I'm all for it. I think so far they have done a pretty good job of really building this heel persona for John Cena. I mean, his promo, a couple of nights ago on Raw. Wow, that was great. That was a great promo. I believe that he actually believes what he's saying. And that, to me, when a wrestling heel can justify and rationalize their actions in a promo, that to me is like, that's it. That's the pinnacle. And so far, I am impressed with what they've done.
I'll tell you what, though, it's something where, man, just absolutely great execution. With the Rock doing the slitting throat type deal and all that. I thought that very over the top, very corny, but it nonetheless effective for that. And it obviously also reinvigorates The Rock because of this, as we were going into it, like, what is this going on with owning Cody Rhodes' soul and all this jargon, and like, this doesn't make any sense. And oh, okay, that's what we wanted to see, is something in regards to somebody making decision. I think, again, and if you believe the backstage rhetoric in regards to who was originally asked to do this, was Cody Rhodes asked to go ahead and do this, or was John Cena asked first? John Cena was asked second, whatever in regards to that. I think it's the best move out of all this. I think Cody Rhodes turning heel right off a situation where Kevin Owens just turned heel on him, I don't think that would have stuck the landing as well as this did. And despite, we'll add on to the non-wrestler part of it as well as who else was in that ring and what happened. Now we'll talk about that in a little bit. But the aspect of the fact is on who ultimately made the turn, I thought was the absolute best move. the most brilliant move. It reinvigorated. You and I were not so enthused about WrestleMania heading into Las Vegas, even though from what we're seeing, and I'm going to go ahead and announce what's going on so far with the card, it looks like it's becoming a really stacked card. But the fact that John Cena now has spiced things up and made things interesting for even fans like us, I have to say it was the right move, it was the best move, and it was a job well done.
I agree tenfold with you on that because, and you said it, we've been on this show talking about WrestleMania. We haven't been overly enthusiastic about it. I was just a little bit more than you have, but still, it's not. I would say we weren't at 10 being completely excited as a 10. I think we were somewhere in the middle. So now it becomes much more interesting. John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I did not hear about the plans. I'll be honest. I missed that news story about changing it up and having Cody Rhodes turn heel. Cody Rhodes, with his personality, his the way he carries himself, I think he's just a much better babyface than heel. I mean, I know he's been heel before in the WWE when he was floundering in the mid card. When he went to AEW, he had a spell as a heel. I don't like a Cody Rhodes heel. That's just me. I want to see him as the babyface. I think he does a fantastic job with that, much like his dad. Let's just be honest. And if they had switched it, I don't think it would have worked if Cena was the one being the babyface and Cody turning heel. I don't like that. I don't think it would work as well. It wouldn't have as much impact. And let's be honest too. What has John Cena not done in the WWE? I mean, he's held dozens of titles. He's been there for 20 some odd years. He's been the face of the company. He's gone out and been a great spokesperson for the Make-A-Wish Foundation and fulfilling all those opportunities as well. Turning him back heel, which again, a lot of the audience probably doesn't even know the John Cena and what was Bull Buchanan's name when he was his thug partner. I can't remember. B Squared. Mm-hmm. Some of the audience doesn't know that. They don't know that history unless they've gone back and watched it somewhere. So this is
Thugonomics, baby. Thugonomics.
That's right. So I think overall this is awesome. This is just fantastic. It's done really, really well. I could sit here and talk about more adjectives that we could use to describe this storyline, but I'm glad you did mention. I think there was one negative with this whole situation, but the promos, I overlooked the promo from the other day as well with Cody facing off with John Cena. Fantastic stuff. And yeah, I mean, that's all I got to say. It's been fantastic.
Once again, it is the state of pro wrestling. It is, of course, John Orlando from the PVD cast, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this and truly appreciate it. Go ahead and check out what John is doing each and every day at the PVD cast, and of course, his awesome show as well, Matt Talk. Go ahead and check out what he's doing there. I will say this, though, it wasn't perfect. And the fact is, again, it's because sometimes the WWE just can't help itself. And their infatuation, and this goes back, Vince McMahon wanting to go ahead and get so many celebrities involved in the original WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Liberace, Muhammad Ali,
Billy Martin?
There's Billy Martin, yes. All those individuals over the course of time, getting other individuals, for prominence, famous people involved, people that just do know wrestling and don't know wrestling, stars that do know wrestling and don't know wrestling, just getting them involved to make appearances or interact. It's been a myriad of successes and failures over the course of years, but the idea is to get attention, grab attention, not for you and I, who are the wrestling fan at heart, is to get attention from the casual audience out there. And the age of social media, it's all about, where do you trend? What place are you at in trending? How high up on the food chain are you on the trending scale? And by bringing out Travis Scott, rap star Travis Scott, into this, I don't know how much good it did. I know it obviously didn't do Cody Rhodes any favors, because when he interacted in this angle, because he was there, just leaning against the ropes, he is a very how should I say, not very stout individual. He's probably like 140 pounds soaking wet, possibly, but just the association with The Rock. I don't know whose call was it, The Rock's, was it the WWE's? But again, they're still trying to justify it days forward. But the thing is, in the ring, and if you didn't hear among the beatdown, when John Cena turned on Cody Rhodes, kicked him in the groin, they beat on him, used the belt to whip him, as they've done, The Rock has done before last year around this time. You did it again. And then Travis Scott, when prompted by The Rock to smack him, did smack him, but smacked him in a place where it broke his or perforated eardrum and blackened his eyes. So your thoughts on this? Again, these celebrity interjections per se, you could take them or you can leave them. I've left them. I see the point in them. For every Logan Paul, now there's a Travis Scott. Good, very bad. Your thoughts on Travis Scott and this whole interjecting, as far as having to have celebrities always stay involved? I mean, they're on camera on Raw, they're on camera on SmackDown, they're on camera on AEW during the Revolution. They got it. It's becoming overdone and very nauseating to me.
Okay, first off, I'm going to say this because because it's true. I don't know who Travis Scott is. I didn't even know he was a rapper. Like, I had no idea who this person was. But okay, that aside, I'm an old man. We'll just leave it at that. That aside, I think that the WWE would be better suited if they would use Hollywood stars or actors or actresses or personalities or whatever that are big wrestling fans. There's something about, and here, we'll talk about it. Jon Stewart did a great segment on the Daily Show that combined political jokes with the turn of John Cena. He's a huge fan. He's been on many pay-per-views sitting in the crowd. He's even helped out The Miz, if I remember correctly, years and years and years ago. So why they don't just stick with people that know a little bit about wrestling rather than these folks that are clueless? And I don't know. Maybe Travis Scott's a big wrestling fan. I don't know. I don't know the guy. I know nothing about him. So, but I think that you would be better suited to do that. And then I also feel like some of these celebrities, personalities, they want to get involved so badly. But look, it took The Rock, Cody Rhodes, John Cena, anyone on that WWE roster, or anybody on that AEW roster for that matter. It takes them a long time to know how to safely perform what they do. And to allow Travis Scott to take part in slapping Cody Rhodes, that should not have happened unless it was gone over in the back multiple times. I don't know if it was. To me, it seemed like it was a spur of the moment thing, but that's just my perspective. I think it's and look what the end result is. He's got a perforated eardrum, but that takes a long time to heal up. So, I mean, Cody's been back doing promos, but he hasn't, as far as I know, he hasn't wrestled in the last couple of weeks. Am I correct on saying that?
Yeah, he hasn't been wrestling. No.
Well, so I hope that eardrum heals up a little bit, and I hope that it looked like the eye is getting back to its normal condition. But I hope that for future celebrities, personalities, whatnot, that the WWE certainly makes sure that those folks are prepared to be physical if they deem necessary to do so.
It's just disappointing again, but I understand why. He has tens of millions of followers on social media, and that's all it's about. It's not about the individual. It's about what do they bring with them into the ring, and now it's all about clicks. It's all about views. It's all about what's going on with their social media. So yeah, I don't like it. I understand it, but I understand it's a business. I understand it's something that the WWE will continue to do. Do I think it's wise as far as the interaction? Again, for every Logan Paul who has exceeded expectations, the Bad Bunny who exceeded expectations in the ring, you have this where people that are absolutely untrained and not gone over as far as exactly what they need to do um, are in there taking shots and hurting wrestlers. And it could have been serious to the point, John, that our main event in
Yeah.
WrestleMania could have been in jeopardy. And that's
Yes.
something I think that the WWE has to think more clearly about in the future.
Yeah, and there had to been something better they could have done to Cody because look, I made no bones about it. I've worked in indie wrestling here in Ohio for a long, long time. I took a slap one time from a wrestler, and I was told you hit this mark. There was a piece of tape on the floor in the backstage interview that I was doing. You hit that mark. If you don't hit that mark, if you're a little bit off one way or the other, when I hit you, you're going to get either your jaw or you're going to get an ear. He says, I want to hit you here. So make sure you hit that mark. So I was coached well enough, all right, that, did it sting a little bit? Sure, it did, but hit me right there where it was supposed to. So again, I'm not saying that they didn't go over this with Travis Scott, but I mean, I think that you could have maybe found something else for them to do, have something else. I think that there's clearly something that could have been done safer than just slapping somebody with that high risk of hitting an ear or I'm sure Cody probably would prefer he got it in the jaw. I'm sure, but yeah, they have to be more careful. I mean, we've seen it time and time again where celebrities and personalities get involved. So as you said, Gerald, it's not going away.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's not going anywhere anytime soon, but we'll just have to wait and see which celebrities will be at WrestleMania, and we'll find out. But as of now, that we're talking right now on the show, we're going to go ahead and run down the lineup so far. Of course, it is Cody Rhodes, who we expect to be healthy by that time. Keeping our fingers crossed. Defending against John Cena. Remember, they haven't said which day this is going to be. I'm assuming that one is going to be on Sunday because that's supposed to probably be the grand finale of everything. Gunther defending against Jey Uso. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Again, John, real quick. Jey Uso. I mean, people love it. People love the heat. You tell me. Again, he has not proven himself to be technically that great. He did have one of the worst WrestleMania matches in recent memory with his brother. Are you a little bit higher now on Jey Uso because the Heat movement has gone on so well and been so good?
No, I'm still not really sold that Jey Uso is the guy that should be in this slot. I'm sorry. The Usos are very talented. They were a great tag team. They are a great tag team. I don't think they're done being a team. I'm sure that somewhere down the road they'll reunite. But yeah, I just don't see him in this spot. Again, this match seems like a match that would be on Raw.
And then also as well, Tiffany Stratton against Charlotte Flair. They're trying to get this thing a little bit more spiced up. It depends on how big right now and how serious you take Tiffany Stratton as the champion. She's still seems seemingly fresh from NXT, but she's been on the roster now for about a year and maybe even more so. Your thoughts on Tiffany Stratton? Will it be Tiffy time or back to the mainstay in Charlotte Flair, my friend?
Oh, You're asking me to do a prediction already.
Yeah, because we won't be talking before then.
Sure,
So.
no, that's fine. I'm gonna say that I think they'll give it to Tiffany Stratton. I think that the fans are so behind her, and let's be honest, over the last 2 or 3 weeks, Tiffy has not been able to get one over on Charlotte Flair. Not,
Mhm.
by no means. So they're building it that every time you try to embarrass Charlotte Flair, she gets the upper hand or she beats you or whatever. So I really feel like they're going in that direction. And let's be honest, Charlotte Flair has had her time in the spotlight. No doubt she's very talented and heck, probably one of the best to ever do it. But again, like Cena, she's done it all. So you got to think of something that she hasn't done, and that's put over a new talent that is very, very good, and the fans are really, really behind.
Let's go over real quickly Io Sky and Bianca Belair. I'm assuming at some point they're going to add in Rhea Ripley in the three-way on that one because of the angle that is currently taking place. Io Sky upsetting Rhea Ripley on Raw a couple weeks back, which I really like the fact that they did the title switch on Raw. I know a lot of people are saying, oh man, they kept, why take it off of Rhea Ripley, et cetera, et cetera. But you need to still build that surprise. You cannot have Raw and SmackDown cannot just be missable shows now. And the fact that, okay, I know what's going to go on, the match is going to be A, B, and C. I just want to wait for the big angle at the end or the big angle interview in the beginning, and that's it. You've got to have some layer of unexpected things happening. And Io Sky winning that title back for her was something that I think for just the fact of you got to have some type of unpredictability in pro wrestling is needed, is needed. And I thought it was definitely warranted. I know that, again, there's a lot of Rhea Ripley supporters that would think otherwise, but I believe she's going to be added into this mix into a three-way somehow, some way. So I understand Io Sky versus Bianca Belair. I don't know what's going on with her and Jade Cargill, if that's going to end up being. I was really looking forward to the fact that it was supposed to be Bianca Belair behind the brutal beating
Yeah.
of or what happened as far as the how Jade Cargill got injured, whatever, in regards to that. But it was Naomi supposedly. I'm still hoping that somehow Bianca Belair will turn heel. I think that will refreshen her character. Your thoughts on this whole thing? I think eventually it will become a three-way, or somehow Jade Cargill will ruin Bianca Belair's chance at the title. Your thoughts on what's going on with this this side of the WWE coin?
I agree with you about putting the title on Io Sky because you're right. If you don't have surprises, if you don't have that, oh my God, look what you missed last week. If you don't have that, then your show becomes predictable. Absolutely. So I agree with it. Now, I don't think Io Sky holds on to the belt past WrestleMania. I think clearly one of the other two are going to walk out of WrestleMania, the champion. Who that is, I on one hand, I think Rhea deserves another run with it, but I also think that, well, she's had her shot. Let's let
If
Bianca
Jade
Belair.
Cargill could work, I really think she would be champion now. In some form or fashion. But again, we'll have to wait and see how well her in-ring ability and it being able to carry a match goes forward on that. So we'll see. But I agree with you on that. But I think it's going to be a three-way at some point in time announced on there. But that's my guess.
Now, as for the storyline with Jade Cargill and who injured her, this makes no sense. I think this is the worst written storyline that we have currently going on in the WWE because none of it makes sense. Like Naomi is behind it, but yet then she's upset with Bianca and they're crying and she admits that she did it. And the way she admitted it, it's like it was so nonchalant. Like it's like, look, you're a vicious heel. You tried to injure this woman. You had tried to end her career in the storyline. So you can't just be nonchalant. Oh yeah, I ran it. I ran her over, and then she starts to cry. That's weak sauce. I'm sorry. That Naomi should have been the baby face. Bianca and Cargill, or excuse me, Bianca should have been the one to attack Cargill.
Or
And
if it leads to, but if it leads to Bianca, and Naomi's taking the front of it, because let's say the Buddy Roberts part of it, where Buddy Roberts you knew was the one that's always going to get hit first and do the job first on that. Let's just say that if it leads to Bianca Belair, it's just messy. It's just very messy if it's going to end up leading to Bianca Belair turning bad, because there is some leanings the way she's been acting lately, like maybe she's on the fence a little bit. So we'll see. I don't want to go ahead and assume that's going to be the case, but it's very messy right now in their storytelling, and I think that's part of the problem right there. Sometimes it's part of the mess is the fact that you have wrestlers out there who are not actors, and you sometimes less is more with certain wrestlers. Sometimes more is better with certain wrestlers, and sometimes less is more. And Naomi, I think probably if you'd given her a little bit of less to have to elaborate on, I think it would have made her character a lot stronger and a lot better, her turning heel. And then I'll just leave it at that. The more sometimes wrestlers are given to elaborate to an audience, the less effective sometimes it is.
oh, I agree. It's not a movie script. You should just bullet point it and go. Like I said, I think that this is really bad, and hopefully they can salvage it. Maybe by having some type of kerfluffle, to use an old timey saying, between Cargill, Bianca, and Naomi at WrestleMania. Maybe that'll kind of make that a little bit more interesting, and then they can do something else with it in the months following Mania. But right now, I'm not interested at all in this storyline.
To finish out everything, it is Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins, and then Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. These are heavyweight matchups that are not for a title, which helps really thicken that undercard for both those nights. So for fans, it is a treat that they're going to see some really heavy duty names as part of the undercard. That's when you have a stacked WrestleMania, is when you have names like that you could throw out. And we're talking again, a three-way between Reigns, Punk, and Rollins. I'm not going to ask you to make any predictions on that because I don't have any feelings one way or the other as far as right now. Get me closer to the point where this WrestleMania is going to be, and I may have different opinions on that. I think probably if you're going to push Punk as your next champion, and at mid 40s, you better start thinking about that soon. If you are going to do that, I think he comes out on top. But outside of that, I really don't have a feeling either which way this is going to go. And Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, I would make a stipulation match because of the heat between those two right now in the ring. But I think that's going to be a barn burner if given the opportunity to do so as well, John.
I could have swore, and maybe I'm wrong, I could have swore that I read somewhere where they were talking about Orton and Owens as a anything goes street fight type of matchup. Now, I might be wrong on that.
It's not been officiated. It's not been official as of yet, but it's something that I'm sure is on the table.
I was going to say heavily rumored. Okay. As for that three-way, that is a matchup for the decade. I mean, between those three, I have to confess, I right now could not give you a prediction on that because I could see it going all three ways with all.
I could give you a prediction right now. It'll be a hell of a lot better than the Roman Reigns three-way that happened last at WrestleMania with Cope or Edge, excuse me, and Bryan Danielson. And that was pretty lame in my opinion, as far as that was a squash match. That was a squash match. And yeah, I just absolutely did not like that at all. So I could tell you right now, it is not going to be a squash match when those three get together, John.
No, agreed. And that squash match with Daniel Bryan and Edge, isn't that the stack them up thing where he? Okay.
That was
bad.
Really bad. That was really bad. Yeah, and I'll just leave it at that. But again, it's WrestleMania coming up for everyone out there. Coming up in mid-April, we'll go ahead and make sure to give you the feedback and leading up to it. Please check out the PVD cast for John and his crew and his guests' predictions on that leading up to WrestleMania. It'll happen, I'm assuming, the week of WrestleMania, and then also as well what we're doing here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Then afterwards, the fallout we'll have right here at the State of Pro Wrestling. But before we get to AEW, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and talk to you, and I think we've talked about this before. Las Vegas is a great place to have WrestleMania because you have not only just the big venue of Allegiant Stadium itself to go ahead and have the event in, but you're having so much outside of it going on. You have the Hall of Fame ceremonies at the Fontainebleau. You have the WWE World, which is their convention that'll be going on at the Las Vegas Convention Center. But for other promotions, TNA, indie promotions from around the world that are gathering in and around the Las Vegas area, several venues are being booked for several. This is the time of the year for pro wrestling fans. This is our Christmas. Tell me your thoughts on especially someone who's worked for indie programs before. I'm sure you've heard it discussed how important it is for indie programs and indie companies, other companies, not just outside of, and not just the WWE, but outside of the WWE, how important it is, for their future and their existence that week of WrestleMania.
Well, the biggest thing that I can tell you from, my experience has been that when you have all of those indie companies going to wherever WrestleMania is, obviously Las Vegas this year, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for those companies and those men and women who compete on those shows to showcase their abilities. And I think that when it comes down to it with the new WWE ID, that program, as well as what's the other one that they have on A&E, the LGF,
The LFG, Legends and Future
LFG.
Greats. Yes.
With all of those things designed to cultivate
Don't remind
talent.
Mickey James about that. I'll just say that.
What?
Oh, I'm just saying because it got renewed for season 2, and Mickey James is no longer a coach, but Undertaker's wife, because Undertaker's the coach there. Undertaker's wife, Michelle McCool, is. I'll let you read into that how you may. So.
Well, I just could tell you that it's a great opportunity to showcase what these indie companies are doing. And again, as an opportunity for those talented men and women to showcase their abilities and maybe get signed by the WWE or even signed by other companies. You have, and I don't want to name names, but if you have a smaller, say, promotion out of Tennessee that comes out there's people that work for that company that might get noticed by the California indie companies, or some of those bigger ones like Defy or Beyond Wrestling, and that's an opportunity for them to get booked and an opportunity for them to ply their trade somewhere else. Because the biggest mistake I think many indie wrestlers do, and I think it's changed a lot over these last few years, is you're never going to get better if you still wrestle with the same promotion every month in your respective town that you operate in. You got to be out there. You got to be out going from indie promotion to indie promotion to indie promotion to learn skills, to learn how to work, to know how to work with other individuals, learn your trade, find out what works and what doesn't work with a gimmick, et cetera, et cetera. So I think for me, the biggest strength in this culmination of all these promotions being around WrestleMania is just that, is the opportunities. And so I'm excited to see who does what, where, how, and whatnot when I read the internet there WrestleMania weekend.
This will be taking place here in Vegas. Let me get you started on Tuesday, April 15th. Give a shout out to a lot of these promotions which don't normally get covered on this show. Starts on the 15th with Micromania Midget Wrestling. That's coming up at the Nerd here at Las Vegas, Nevada. Tickets are available. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to post this from big shout out to Voices of Wrestling for going ahead and being able to provide us with this information at all in one place. Wednesday, April 16th, Game Changer Wrestling WWE ID Championship Tournament. That'll be taking place at the Palms Resort. WWE ID as far as again, the individuals, male and female, who are coming up in the ranks of the indies that have been tagged by the WWE as possible future prospects. So go ahead and check that out. New Tradition Lucha Libre, Viva Las Reinas at the Swan Dive. That's also coming up on the 16th. Colorado Wrestling Collection on the 16th as well at FSW Arena at Las Vegas. Right there for you for CWC versus the World. And then also as well at the Sci-Fi Center, there'll be shows competing with other shows at the same time, John, to tell you how that is going to be. That's going to be Big Valley Wrestling, X World's Greatest Wrestling right there. That's going to take place at the Sci-Fi Center. Dragon Gate USA, just an hour later after that start time for both those other shows I was just talking about. Dragon Gate USA, that's also taking place at the Palms on that date. That's on Wednesday. And then, of course, to top it all off, at the Dirt, another Micromania show, Midget Wrestling at Las Vegas, right there for you on Wednesday. Thursday, it's going to have Defy Wrestling. That's going to take place again at the Palms. Palms is going to be a hub for what's going to go on with pro wrestling, indie pro wrestling. ASE Wrestling Vegas, that's going to be at FSW Arena. That's also coming up there as well. And then, of course, Oasis Pro, the Pandemonium Pro Wrestling show, the Oasis Pros at the Swan Dive. Pandemonium is at Fremont Country Club. My gosh. Kirk White's
Fremont Country Club. Wait.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt, but my goodness, they're going to the country club. Oh, my.
They're going all over. Kirk White's Big Time Wrestling. Stardom. That's going to be at the Vale Pavilion. Kirk White's is going to be at Meet Las Vegas. Phase 1 Pro, Dante's House of Fire. That's going to be at FSW Arena. WrestleCon, which you and I know is a big part of what goes on and takes place as far as for indies at WrestleMania. That'll be at the Pearl Theater at the Palms. Man, West Coast Pro Wrestling, Vegas Vacation at Meet Las Vegas. Dusk Pro Wrestling at the Swan Dive. Winter Circle Pro Wrestling, The Score at FSW Arena. Spark Joshi Purcell at Lady Luck. That'll be at the Vale Pavilion. World's Greatest Wrestling, Living Dangerously at the Dive Bar. TNA Wrestling's Unbreakable. That'll be at the Cox Pavilion. Melina's Divas and Drag Wrestling. This will all take place within, for instance, it'll be like a 4, a 5, a 6, a 6:30. Melina's Divas and Drag Wrestling. And that'll be at Gypsy's Prestige Wrestling. Nothing to Lose at Meet Las Vegas. Demand Lucha and Destiny World Wrestling One Night in Vegas. That'll be at FSW Arena. Game Changer Wrestling will be at the Pearl at the Palms. Marks R Us will be at the Dive Bar. Banger Zone Wrestling will be at Swan Dive. And Micromania Midget Wrestling again at the Nerd. Fighting Evolution Wrestling at 11 p.m. at night, John, at the FSW Arena. Marvelous Pro Wrestling again at 11 o'clock at night. Who heard of shows being at 11 o'clock at night? Meet Las Vegas. And Progress Wrestling Chapter 179 will take place just a minute before midnight at Palms Casino. That's all on Thursday, John. That's all on Thursday. Let's go ahead with Friday. Tokyo Joshi Pro Wrestling. That's going to be at Pearl Theater. Ed and San Antonio Productions Powder Mania at FSW Arena. Stardom will be at Meet Las Vegas. Versus Pro Bet at Downtown Container Park. That's a great place to go, by the way, if anybody gets a chance. One of the few places downtown. Really recommend that place. Texas Wrestling Cartel at the FSW Arena. DDT Pro Wrestling at Pearl Theater. WrestleCore at Swan Dive. Deadlock at Meet Las Vegas. Compton Mania at Container Park. Ruthless Pro Wrestling at the Dive Bar. Devotion Championship Wrestling at FSW Arena. SmackDown, of course, coming at T-Mobile. Game Changer, the Pearl. My gosh. Pride Style at Swan Dive. Dragon Gate at Meet Las Vegas. Infamous Sports Entertainment. What did I get myself into? At DDT Las Vegas. FSW, the WWID Championship Tournament at FSW Arena. Martinez Entertainment at the Silver Nugget, which is a little bit far downtown. Back where I've had some actually good wrestling memories when the NWC was there a long time ago, but that's a story for another day. Grab House at Ferguson's downtown. Micromania at the Nerd. New Texas Pro Wrestling at the Swan Dive. UPW at FSW Arena. Heels Have Eyes at the Pearl and Micromania at the Nerd, and that's all on Friday. And then, of course, Saturday is a loaded day as well. My gosh, there's too many to mention, but I will put the link in the description below. Go ahead and make sure you catch all these great shows. And if you do, you're one insane human being, because several of these shows will be going on in several different areas at the same time. My God, if you're a pro wrestling fiend, John, that week will be for you.
Indeed.
I just read I didn't even get to Saturday. Saturday is just even before they try to micromanage everything before WrestleMania, so they try to get as many shows in before WrestleMania as well. Man, good God,
they go hard. These companies go hard. They want to make sure
yes.
that you have great wrestling to watch, whether it is at Allegiant Stadium or at the Country Club. I shouldn't really joke because I've worked some wrestling shows in some other odd places, but that's for another time anyways.
You know what? I would have loved the fact if you could have come over for a week and we could have covered it together. I would have actually probably tried hard to get a lot of press passes if that's the case. And I'm sure we would have gotten accepted for quite a few of them, at least from the smaller promotions. And that would have been fun. That would have been fun. But maybe they'll come back to Vegas and we will get that opportunity to do that again. Yes, so there you have it. Wow, I didn't even know it was that big list. I'm like reading, wow, yikes. Some of these promotions I've never even heard of before. So there you go, there you have it. They're Christmas time indeed for all pro wrestling. But before we head on out, my friend, it is of course the state of pro wrestling, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. It is John Orlando at the PVD Cast and Matt Talk. Going to talk about AEW. Revolution just happened in the not too distant past. A show based in Los Angeles at the Crypt. Had how should I say this? It was a card with heavy on the violence, some really good work in 3 of the matches, if not 4, and then a main event which might have, in some cases, what's the old adage as far as a main event that really does bad that might affect your God? There's a phrase in wrestling that you have as far as once you have a really bad main event that will turn away crowds. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I can't remember now.
Yeah, but anyways, I mean, just there was some really good wrestling, but there's some really violent wrestling. So I'll let you go ahead and say in regards to your thoughts on that. And then again, the terrible main event. And I feel bad for Christian Cage for that whole build up for just being out there for 2 minutes and getting worked out. But Wednesday on Dynamite, they also had a rematch for the world title between Jon Moxley and Edge, Adam Copeland, who is known by Cope now, in one of the most confusing things I've ever heard in my life. When I talked about this match with you, the thing is not just the fact, it's the result. The result was Moxley retained. The fact is that Jon Moxley took a shot from I guess a bat or a large stick with maybe 100 nails in it, and took a shot to the back. He did not have a shirt or anything covering it. And the fact that they showed you on live television, the fact that that it stuck in there, he took a suplex onto it. And they had Wheeler Yuta and the referee. It took them a couple minutes to get the actual device out of his back, and you can see the skin ripping and the blood starting to come out to a good level and whatnot. He seemingly was okay enough to continue the match and ultimately retain going forward. I don't know what his back or what it will do going forward for him, but this comes on the heels of what we saw at Revolution. A really good women's title match, in my opinion, but people are turned off by the fact that both ladies gained color, both ladies bled. Also, the fact that in the cage match between Kyle Fletcher, and Will Ospreay, Mark Davis came down, and they all seemingly decided to go vampire and share blood amongst each other, and seemingly enjoyed sharing blood with each other on that. That comes on the heel of that, plus also as well, the fact is, it goes before with the Swerve Strickland Adam Page saga before that, where they were drinking each other's blood and stuff like that. And I get the fact that there are promotions out there that want to go ahead and try to make a name for themselves for their violence, but AEW is supposed to be this high level alternative to the WWE. Your thoughts, my friend? Has the violence stepped up too far for a casual audience? For me, it's just, it's like, man, are they really putting themselves through this for 600,000 viewers and 3,000 inside the arena? Okay, whatever. It is what they're doing. But your thoughts on AEW? Has the violence gone too far?
Well, I would say to you, what you would hear is when you said, hey, I thought AEW is supposed to be this high-end wrestling program that is different than the WWE. And I guarantee you, some folks would say, well, the violence is different than the WWE. That's, it has its place on this show. And look, I don't know. Back in the day, I was a UGCW, Mark. Was there some wild and crazy matches that happened, in ECW? Yes. But they just seemed like they were different. I don't know. Watching like Terry Funk and Sabu in that barbed wire match, it's got a different feel to it than watching somebody nowadays in some death match with shards of glass or whatnot, in the ring. I don't know. I get it that it gets clicks and it gets people talking, but I don't know how good it is for the longevity of the sport, especially too when you're talking about creating a casual audience. Look, I was not a big fan of Toni Storm and Mariah May bleeding buckets all over the place. And is it because they're women? Yes, it is. So I'm guilty of that. So if you want to, say, well, John Orlando is a misogynist. Okay, I'm fine. I'll take that label for this because I don't want to see that. I just don't. Maybe, again, like I said, it's my upbringing or whatnot. I don't want to see that. But I don't know, Gerald.
I didn't mind it so much, but then again, the old adage of blood means green in the industry, that one I do remember. Blood means green is what they used to say. I don't think blood means green any longer unless it's used very, very sparingly. And it's not used sparingly at all in AEW.
No. No, and the other question that I was going to ask is that they does it make sense for them to do these type of matches when there's not been that big of a build? The build.
The Hollywood ending match was really good. I really enjoyed that match, and I thought that, yes, the blood aside, I still thought that match ended the way it needed to.
Well, I just wonder about the builds. I just wonder about it. If like back in the day, again, I hate to keep saying that, but back in the day, you had a program, like Buzz Sawyer and Tommy Rich. That went on for like a year and a half before they did the last Battle of Atlanta. And that cage match meant something. I mean,
the Hollywood ending, that's a year buildup between those two. So I think, again, we criticized Tony Khan for a lot. I think that storyline between Mariah May and Toni Storm ended the way it needed to end, and that went over the course of a year. I think he does deserve some positive credit for that.
Okay, yeah, I'll give him credit for that. But when you look at some of the other extreme, for lack of a better term, action,
then it goes off the reservation, or goes off the rails for that.
Because what has Cope been feuding with Moxley for, like, what, 3 weeks? I mean, if that, there's probably longer. It's probably maybe a month and a half. But I mean, does that warrant doing this crazy, I'm going to slam you or suplex you on this giant spiked board or baseball bat or whatever? I don't. Okay, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Is this ever going to go away? I think no. I think there's always going to be the violence is always going to be there for professional wrestling. I just wish it was, for lack of a better term, used smarter.
I agree. Use smarter. I mean, that's the thing with the advent of Netflix for WWE, they can go more hardcore. They can go from PG to PG-13. They can even go and trend in more obscenities or violence if they want to. But I would suggest to them, use it sparingly. Make it more for shock value to grab that audience and tell that story a little bit better. But in case of, for everything I compliment, because I have difference of opinions with some others on the internet on the burning the house angle. I really like that promo. I think it's by far, in a way, Page's Adam Hangman Page's best promo ever. And then the burning of the house down and all that stuff. I thought it was great to show the exact type of heat you're supposed to have with him and Swerve Strickland. But then the sharing of the blood that they spit into each other's mouths, I didn't need that. I really absolutely didn't need that. And I thought it went, and then the hypodermic needle that we talked about, and like that is just okay. The hatred is going to a point, but that's going a little bit too far. It goes into ridiculousness. If it goes into ridiculousness, that to me as absolutely turns me off as a pro wrestling fan. And spitting blood into each other or wiping each other's blood off their face if you're not Abdullah the Butcher, like we saw with Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher and Will Ospreay all sharing each other's blood, like happily and gleefully doing it. I just think that at this point in time, it's 2025, and I think you just need to go ahead and do things in a better fashion for storytelling than what they're doing, John.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. That's it.
It took away from it took me away out of a very high level, fantastic cage match between those two, John.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I feel like if you have a steel cage match every week on your program, then what does a steel cage match mean? It means nothing. And so I fear that some of these antics, some of these ideas are going to be used, and they're just going to be overused to a point where they don't. And then what do you do? What do you do now? If we complain about how finishers don't mean anything, where a Canadian destroyer now is a transition move, right? Like what?
An Undertaker pile driver style pile driver, tombstone pile driver onto chairs. It's just
like, what are you going to have to do next if this continues? Like, okay, so you've shared each other's blood. What's next? What wacky thing are we going to come up with next that'll be so gross? There has to be, like, as you said, there has to be like this suspension of disbelief. And when you get outside the realm of that, you lose the audience.
Once again, it is John Orlando from the PVD Cast and Matt Talk, along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. John, you hit it right on the head as far as, okay, not on the nail head right there, for you to get spiked and start bleeding all over the place. But before we head on out, my friend, it is that time, the magic pitch. I know you're on PVD Cast on Facebook, but please, for everyone out there listening on radio, listening on podcast outlets, listening on my outlets, please enlighten them on why they need to check out your great stuff at Matt Talk and the PVD Cast.
Well, first, as Gerald pointed out at the beginning of this fine episode, that Matt Talk is not a wrestling podcast. No, it's the only Matlock-themed podcast on the face of the planet, in which the Andy Griffith Show, Matlock, is discussed and reviewed and sometimes made fun of as well, because, in the 80s, sometimes things got hokey. But as my partner Jason and I enjoying dissecting every single episode, and we air those through the Facebook page at Matt Talk Podcast, and our schedule is the second and fourth Sunday of every month. I will say that we are going to have here in the next couple of weeks a tie-in to the current Matlock show with Kathy Bates, and that's all I'm going to say. We have a very special program that's going to tie into that current run, but also the PVD Cast is my own personal podcasting project. Right now, we have a gentleman named Stephen Prince from out in California, who's an independent comic book creator, who's created a very unique comic that it mixes in luchadors, kaiju, matadors, Indiana Jones, Mad Max. It is just an amazing universe that he has created. Monster Matador is the comic, and he has a new comic out called let's see if I don't want to mess this up, Gerald. Monstadores One Shot. So check it out over at pvdcast.com or wherever you find great podcasts.
It is, of course, John Orlando along with me, Joe Glassford. Thanks again for watching this. If you are watching on the PVD Cast and you're not familiar with what I do the Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, if you're listening on Spotify or you do listen on Spotify, check us out, Pop Culture Cosmos. I'm there every week. We also throw occasionally once or twice a week. We throw it on YouTube as well, but the audio listeners always get twice a week. And on this latest episode upcoming, I will be talking about Severance Season 2. Ooh, yeah. Plus also as well, we have the first initial box office results for Snow White. Talk a little bit about Assassin's Creed Shadows and so much more. Go ahead and check us out today. Pop Culture Cosmos, wherever you get your podcasts. John, it's always been great as my tag team partner. We got to get back in the ring sometime again soon as far as getting our masks on and go ahead. The Masked Marauders have got to ride again real soon. But any last thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
No, just looking forward to seeing how things shake out for WrestleMania. And just folks love wrestling, no matter what it is, if it's WWE, AEW, Defy Wrestling, or any of those other independent companies.
My God, 500 of them seemingly, just all on that WrestleMania week alone.
But definitely just enjoy wrestling. There you go. That's my final words.
Nobody will be able to see. I'm going to tell everyone right now, nobody will be able in the city of Las Vegas to see all of those shows. For instance, the fact that there's a couple midnight shows taking place in different parts of the town. You're not going to be able to make it on a Friday or Saturday night. No, you can't. Or 5 or 6 p.m. No, you can't. There's like 3 shows going on. Yeah, no, you're not going to be able to do it all, see it all, experience it all. But if you're coming to Las Vegas, be safe, have fun. And you know what? If you want to go ahead and meet me in person, just hit me up, Pop Culture Cosmos or Lakers Fast Break, both of them at yahoo.com. So for John Orlando, along with me, Joe Glassford, thanks again for watching and listening. We'll be back in the ring after WrestleMania for the fallout on what we liked, we didn't like, and what we'd like to go ahead and remember what took place here the week of Las Vegas, the week of WrestleMania here in Las Vegas. That's coming up for you next month, right here on the State of Pro Wrestling for the PVD Cast, Matt Talk, Lakers Fast Break, and the Pop Culture Cosmos. Ding, ding, ding! It's time for the State of Pro Wrestling, scheduled for one fall with a 60-minute time limit. And now, from parts unknown, your tag team champions of the world, John Orlando for the PVD Cast and Gerald Glassford from the Pop Culture Cosmos.